You wanna play some angels, dragons and demon? You think ramp with land is overrated? Ain't nobody got time for blue? So mardu it is. A classic commander exists for this specific triple tribal, Kaalia of the Vast. This was my second deck I built, and while it has its charm, it also has very present flaws. Let's do a little pro and cons list. Pros. You get to play big, teamy creatures, powerful, game-changing effects. Kaalia makes them come a lot earlier in the game. This is a big part of why the deck works. And built-in evasion, basically the whole deck has flying. Now the cons. Kaalia is a very well-known commander. How she works, what she does, and how to stop her. The curve of your deck will probably be very high if you don't have access to Kaalia. 2/2 flying is not a lot of stats for a creature that has to swing every turn, especially since the creature you cheat into play has to go to the same player. Sometimes everyone's got a flyer, and you are kind of stuck. And finally, probably the most important point for me, nobody likes to take 8 damage from a single angel or demon. You seem a lot more threatening than a deck that pings for instances of 1 or 2 life, even if they do a higher total of damage than you in a turn. So to summarize the Kaalia experience, your game will either go very well because your opponent didn't kill your commander, or very poorly if they did before you could trigger her. And the longer you will be playing this deck in your playgroup, the more they will start the game and keep that sword to plowshare for the turn 3 Kaalia, even if you don't run the most violence card like Master of Cruelties or Iona before she got banned. What I started doing in the end was being very political and taking deals to protect my strategy, but it gets old real fast, to me at least. So I looked at all the Mardu commanders for a replacement, but running a triple big CMC tribal doesn't fit a lot of legendary creatures, at least if you don't want it to be a pure Timmy deck. And then we found this, Vial Smasher and Bruce Tarl. We stand Mardu, making the switch really easy. Vial Smasher cares about high CMC spells, and Bruce Tarl care about going to combat. What is also nice is that these partners are very open in terms of how you build them. Not a lot of cards, if any, are essential to make them work. At the end of the video, I will take a minute to talk about some synergy specific to these commanders that I didn't add as of now to my list. So make sure to stick around, I try to keep all of my video as short as possible. So how do we take a Kaalia deck and bring it to crazy goblin and moustache level? To the lands. In the land department, nothing changed really from my original list. You want a lot of fixing and a majority of untapped land for a Kaalia deck to always cast her on curve. This is a good base for any deck. I took out the really specific lands like Ancient Ziggurat and Unclaimed Territory and added utility lands like Castle Locthwain and Scavenger Ground. But this could have been in your Kaalia deck already. For the rents, where my Kaalia list was running 8 2CMC mana rocks to enable the turn 3 Kaalia every game, Vial and Bruce actually cast their big CMC creatures, so we need bigger mana sources. I still run my Singets and Talismans, but added Thran Dynamo, Gilded Lotus, and Worn Power Stone and Semblance Anvil. I didn't put it in my list, but if you can squeeze some artifact creatures, like Solemn Simulacrum or any Gearhulk, the Semblance Anvil will reduce both your creatures and artifacts, making this an incredible mana advantage. Another specie addition in the mana department is Nehab the Eternal. You cast him with Vial Smasher on the battlefield and you will get your 5 mana back in your post-combat main phase. Removals. In terms of single target removals, the list won't change very much. You still want your Anguished Unmaking, Generous Gift and the likes. But in terms of board wipes, now that we don't put everything on the table before turn 6, you can actually consider resetting the state of the game. Blasphemous Act becomes really good with Vial Smasher as you pay only 1 mana and deal 9 to one of your opponents. Decree of Pain will also make sure that your hand is not empty after using your creature, and the -2/-2 on the cycling won't affect your big beaters. Card Trap. Talking about drawing, here is what I run in my deck. You can customize this section to your liking, of course. Queen Marchesa got reprinted in Mystery Booster, and this was a really fun card to add to my list. Tome of Legend is really nice since we have 2 commanders to trigger it. I also added a Manifold Key. We can get unblockable for Bruce Tarl or untap the Tome to draw a second card per turn. It also works as a mana source by untapping any mana rock that gives you more than 1 mana. Overall, a very versatile card. For the creatures. Where we used to only care about the power of their effect, now we actually need to consider the cost of those spells. 6 mana is often a nice spot in terms of power and ability to actually resolve the spell. I coded 6 creatures in the 7 to 9 range to make room for all the other categories. A card like Runescar Demon was a lot stronger with Kaalia in the command zone than in my hand waiting for me to have 7 mana. Just a thing to keep in mind while tweaking your new list. This already go with your preference of course. We still run Kaalia in the deck, but won't depend on her anymore. Another subcategory for creatures is the ability for your deck to give haste. While still somewhat important, it is a lot less mandatory. I kept my boots since they give protection and my fervor since it's a global effect. I was already running 2 finishers in the form of Mob Rule and Savage Beating. They still works very well in the deck game plan. You could also add a Disrupt Decorum if you have the room. So that covers pretty much all the categories. As of now, I have played maybe around 8 games with the new iteration, and it is really a breath of fresh air on one of my oldest deck. I did not mean for it to be my strongest deck, and I did prioritize some cards I already owned over buying a new half of the deck. So by all means, if you plan on buying cards to build this deck, take a moment to look if some cards would be better or fit your gameplay more. I would say this piece of advice works for any non-CDH commander list, but I wanted to emphasize it. In summary, I would say you give up some speed, of course, but you become a lot less a one-trick pony. This list still deals tons of damage, and since all your creatures have game-ending effect, I'm not worried that you will be able to smash into the land player before he can torment or hellfire you to death. I really like having commanders that let me try basically any card, in the right colors of course. Talking about trying cards, here are some synergy that I did not include at this moment, but will probably be really good if you build a deck from scratch. Vial Smasher will give you more value to the cards with Delve and Undaunted type of effects. Reducing the cost does not affect the damage it will deal. One example in my list is Blasphemous Act, but Curtain's Call or even Murderous Cut could do great in this deck. For Brewstar, he gives Double Strike and Lifelink, so on-attack triggers are really good. One I run in this deck is the 3rd Neeb, Dreadhorde Champion. Hitting twice, I'm able to discard useless cards, draw more, generate mana, and discard them again if I wish so. Any of the swords could also work with this if you have the budget, as they trigger on damage. Umizawa Jete is another great example for this. Lastly, some life gain synergy could work since you are both in white and black. A card like Sanguine Bond would allow you to hit an opponent who is hard to attack. With Ikaria now out, I will for sure look at the Mardu new cards like the Ultimatum and the Mythos. I'm running a lot of color extensive lands, so this should work great. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe as it helps the channel a lot. I still haven't found a way to get new EDH gameplay video that is not a nightmare to edit, but I'll figure it out. Leave me a comment on something I might have forgot, I answer to everyone. And as always, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Take care, my friend. Okay, bye.